Most adults over 60 spend hours trying to sharpen their memory with puzzles, yet they ignore the most scientifically proven, brain training, activity happening right in their own backyard. It is not about the vegetables you grow or the flowers you plant. It is about a biological shift that occurs in your nervous system the moment your hands touch the soil. You might think gardening is just a hobby, a way to pass the time or beautify your home. But researchers have discovered that it is actually a complex, multi-sensory therapy that alters your brain chemistry. When you engage with soil, you are not just gardening. You are engaging in a physiological dialogue with your environment. But why does this specific interaction have such a profound impact on cognitive health as we age? And more importantly, why is this activity becoming a critical recommendation in modern geriatric wellness? Today, we are going to look beneath the surface. We will examine the neurobiological mechanisms triggered by tactile interactions with nature. Why your cortisol levels respond so differently to gardening compared to a gym workout. And how this simple act can lower the risk of cognitive decline by up to 36%. Many seniors miss the early signals of nature deficit in their daily routines, often dismissing their rising stress levels as a standard part of aging. But what if the solution was not in a bottle, but in a raised garden bed? We are going to explore the physiological process known as grounding and its impact on your cardiovascular system. If you have ever felt that quiet, steady calm after spending just 20 minutes outside, you have already experienced the neurological reset I am about to explain. Stay with me, because as we move through this, we will uncover why many people are doing it wrong, and how to structure your garden time to maximize the health benefits for your heart and brain. Understanding the gravity of this requires us to look at how the modern lifestyle has inadvertently stripped away our biological connection to the earth. For the last several decades, we have moved indoors. We have shifted from active, outdoor-based lifestyles to sedentary, screen-filled environments. For those of us over 60, this transition has been more pronounced. Our bodies were evolved to be in constant contact with the environment, touching soil, moving through varied terrain, and observing natural light cycles. When we remove these stimuli, our nervous system enters a state of sensory deprivation, which contributes to heightened anxiety, poor sleep quality, and weakened immune function. Consider your own daily routine. How many hours do you spend in a static, artificial light environment? The problem is that our brains are not wired for these conditions. When we lack the complexity of a natural environment, our stress response system, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or HPA axis, stays chronically elevated. This is not just about feeling a bit frazzled. It is about a sustained release of cortisol that, over years, physically shrinks the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. This is why gardening is not merely a leisure activity. It is a countermeasure. By interacting with the complex environment of a garden, you are providing your brain with the sensory nutrients it needs to maintain neuroplasticity. But here is the fascinating part. The benefits extend far beyond just stress reduction. There is a direct, measurable link between gardening and the reduction of systemic inflammation, the silent killer that drives nearly every age-related disease. We are just scratching the surface of how this happens. In the next section, we will discuss the surprising scientific evidence found in soil microbes that might just change the way you look at your garden gloves. Let's talk about the science that sounds like fiction. Deep within the soil lives a bacterium called Mycobacterium vaccae. For a long time, microbiologists assumed it was just another harmless inhabitant of the earth. However, recent clinical studies have shown something startling. When you inhale or have skin contact with this specific bacterium while gardening, it triggers a release of serotonin in the brain. Yes, the same, feel-good, neurotransmitter that many antidepressant medications aim to regulate. This is why gardening is often described as a form of natural medicine. It is not just the act of pulling weeds or watering plants. You are literally engaging in a biochemical exchange with nature. Now, this does not mean you should stop any medication you are currently taking, but it does highlight why your brain feels lighter when you are among your plants. Think of your garden as a living laboratory. Your senses are constantly processing the texture of the soil, the changing patterns of sunlight, the scent of damp earth, and the sounds of your environment. This is called sensory enrichment, and it is one of the most powerful tools we have for fighting cognitive decline. When you are performing a task like pruning a rose bush or planting seeds, you are engaging in fine motor skills, focus, and planning, all of which act as a workout for your prefrontal cortex. This prevents the brain from going into autopilot mode, a state that often accelerates age-related memory loss. Many seniors struggle with the idea that they need to do intense, exhausting exercises to stay healthy, but science suggests that low-intensity, high-engagement activities like gardening are far more sustainable and effective for long-term health. We have only begun to touch on the physiological changes. Next, we will identify the specific signs that your body is craving this natural interaction, and why the silent stress of retirement can be managed effectively through these simple motions. You might be wondering, what are the symptoms that you are not getting enough of this natural engagement? Most people think of burnout or stress as something that only happens to people in high-pressure careers. But as we enter our 60s and 70s, we face a different kind of stress. It is the stress of routine, the anxiety of health concerns, and the subtle feeling of isolation. These manifest in ways we often ignore. Do you find yourself having brain fog in the afternoons? Do you notice that your sleep quality has become fragmented? Even if you are not physically tired, perhaps you feel a persistent, low-level muscle tension in your shoulders or neck that doesn't seem to go away with just a rest. These are often the body's quiet alarms. Your nervous system is signaling that it is lacking the rhythmic, predictable, yet engaging stimuli that nature provides. When you spend time in a garden, your brain transitions from directed attention, which is the taxing focus we use for screens, bills, and driving, to soft fascination. This is a term used by environmental psychologists to describe the state of mind where you are observing nature. It is effortless, restorative, and allows your prefrontal cortex to recover its resources. When you are in this state, your blood pressure naturally stabilizes, and your heart rate variability, a key indicator of cardiovascular health, improves. This is why a gardener often looks and feels younger than their chronological age. They are not just exercising. They are giving their nervous system a chance to decompress from the constant digital bombardment of the modern world. If you have been ignoring these signals, thinking they are just part of getting older, consider this a turning point. You have the power to change your physiological baseline simply by changing your daily environment. We are going to dive deeper into who benefits the most from this, and why your specific medical history might make this the most important habit you start this year. Who needs this the most? While gardening is beneficial for everyone, the data shows specific groups of seniors who stand to gain the most significant improvements in health outcomes. If you have been diagnosed with early-stage hypertension, mild cognitive impairment, or chronic low-grade anxiety, gardening is no longer just a hobby, it is a therapeutic intervention. For those managing cardiovascular issues, the physical nature of gardening, the bending, the reaching, the carrying, provides a functional, low-impact form of exercise that avoids the joint-jarring impact of high-intensity cardio. The beauty here is in the functional movement. You are not just lifting a weight in a gym. You are lifting a pot. You are reaching for a branch. You are balancing as you step over a garden border. This engages your core and improves your proprioception, your body's ability to sense its position in space, which is crucial for fall prevention as we age. But beyond the physical, consider the social aspect. For many, the garden becomes a bridge. It connects us to our neighborhood, to other hobbyists, and provides a sense of purpose. Purpose is perhaps the single most important longevity drug for those over 60. The feeling that you are nurturing something, that you are responsible for life and growth, directly combats the feeling of purposelessness that can plague retirement. Science calls this the nurturing effect, and it is directly linked to lower levels of loneliness, which is statistically as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So, if you are feeling disconnected or if your body feels like it is stiffening up from lack of movement, this is your signal. It is not about turning your entire yard into a farm. It is about creating a manageable space that requires your daily, gentle involvement. In the coming section, we will break down the how-to, the specific, safe practices that will keep you injury-free while you cultivate your health. Let's address the practical side. How do you start gardening without risking your back, your knees, or your joints? The biggest mistake people make is treating gardening like a construction project. They try to do too much, too fast, and end up with physical aches that turn them off the hobby entirely. The key here is ergonomic adaptation. First, consider raised beds. By bringing your plants up to your waist height, you eliminate the need to bend over or kneel on hard surfaces. This is a game changer for anyone dealing with lower back pain or arthritis in the knees. Secondly, look at your tools. Use long-handled tools whenever possible to maintain an upright posture. Ergonomic, soft grip handles are not a luxury. They are a necessity for those of us with arthritis or reduced hand strength. When you garden, think in terms of microsessions. Do not set out to garden for 3 hours. Set a timer for 20 minutes. This keeps your movements varied and prevents the kind of repetitive stress that leads to inflammation. Hydration is another overlooked factor. Often, we get so engrossed in the task that we forget to drink water. Keep a bottle within arm's reach. Your muscles and brain need that hydration to process the work you are doing. And remember, the goal is not a pristine garden. The goal is the process. If you leave a few weeds or don't finish a row, that is perfectly fine. The finished product is not the reward. The restorative time you spent in the process is. This shift in mindset is what separates those who benefit from gardening from those who just treat it as another chore on their to-do list. We are talking about sustainable health, not perfectionism. As we move into the next section, we will look at how to pair this with nutrition, creating a holistic cycle of wellness that starts in the dirt and ends on your plate. Now, let's talk about the garden-to-table connection. There is a profound psychological benefit to consuming what you have grown yourself. It is not just about the nutritional value, although that is certainly a major factor. It is about the feedback loop. When you nurture a seed into a tomato or a leaf of kale, you are creating a biological connection to your food that the average supermarket shopper never gets. You know exactly what is in your food. You know there are no hidden pesticides, no long-haul travel time, and that the nutrient density is at its peak. This connection to origin actually enhances the digestive process. We know from neurogastroenterology that the brain and the gut are in constant communication via the vagus nerve. When you are eating food you grew, you feel a sense of pride and accomplishment, which reduces the stress hormone response during meals. This allows your body to digest food more efficiently. Consider integrating functional crops, herbs like rosemary, which has been shown to support memory, or leafy greens that are packed with antioxidants. These are easy to grow, require little space, and provide immediate, high-value nutrition. If you only have a balcony, a few pots of herbs can still provide that sense of connection and the physical engagement we discussed. This is about accessibility. Health doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with the soil. And as we continue, I want to clarify something. There are some common mistakes, specifically regarding the risk of overexertion, that you absolutely need to avoid. Let's look at why your ego might be the biggest obstacle to your gardening health. We have to talk about the gardener's ego. This is the tendency to push ourselves past our physical limits because we want to finish a project, or because we remember having more energy 10 or 20 years ago. As a researcher, I see this often. A patient starts gardening with great enthusiasm, spends 5 hours in the heat, and ends up with a back injury or dehydration that keeps them bedridden for a week. That is the opposite of the health goal we are striving for. The key is to monitor your rate of perceived exertion. If you find yourself holding your breath while you work, you are doing too much. Your breathing should be steady and relaxed. If you find your joints beginning to ache, stop immediately. Your garden will be there tomorrow. There is no deadline in nature. Another common error is failing to adapt to the weather. For anyone over 60, thermoregulation, your body's ability to control its temperature, is less efficient than it once was. Always garden during the cooler hours of the day. Early morning or late afternoon. Wear a hat, use sunscreen, and never, ever compromise on your hydration. Think of your garden as a partner, not a competition. You are not fighting the weeds. You are inviting a space to flourish. This change in perspective is crucial for longevity. It transforms the work from labor into restoration. Many people ask me, when is the right time to go to the doctor about garden-related aches? If you experience pain that doesn't resolve with 1 or 2 days of rest, or if you feel sharp, stabbing pains in your joints or back while moving, that is the time for a checkup. Don't wait for a chronic injury to develop. Let's shift our focus to how you can start this process today, starting with even the smallest space. So, how do we begin? Whether you have a large backyard or a small apartment balcony, the principle remains the same. Start with high-access gardening. If you have an outdoor space, start with one raised bed, about 3 to 4 feet wide, so you can reach the center without having to step inside the bed. If you have a balcony, focus on vertical gardening. Use wall-mounted planters. This keeps the plants at eye level and removes the need to bend over completely. Choose plants that bring you joy. Don't worry about being a master gardener in the beginning. Focus on resilient plants that are hard to kill, like herbs, succulents, or hardy perennials. The goal is to build a habit, not a prize-winning garden. As you spend time with these plants, observe them. Notice the leaves, the texture of the soil, the way they move in the wind. This is the mindfulness practice that will lower your cortisol levels. Every time you touch the soil, you are reinforcing the connection to your circadian rhythm. You are telling your body, it is daytime, it is time to be active and engaged. This consistency is what builds long-term health. Many of my patients find that after just 2 weeks of daily 15-minute sessions, their sleep improves, and their baseline anxiety levels drop significantly. It is not magic. It is biology. Your body was designed to be in this environment. You are simply returning to a more natural state of living. In the next part, we will discuss the specific red flags, those health conditions where you should consult with your doctor before starting any new, physically active hobby, to ensure you are doing this safely. Let's address the medical safety aspect. While gardening is highly recommended, it is important to be mindful of certain health conditions. If you have severe osteoporosis, you need to be careful with bending and lifting. Focus on ergonomic, high-level planters that require no bending at all. If you have cardiovascular conditions, please consult your physician before starting any moderate intensity movement to ensure your heart rate remains in a safe range. For those with skin conditions or immune system concerns, remember that soil contains a wide variety of microorganisms. Always wear high-quality, breathable gloves and wash your hands thoroughly after every session. It is also wise to ensure your tetanus vaccination is up to date, as soil and sharp garden tools can pose a risk. This is not to scare you, but to empower you. Being informed means you can mitigate risks and enjoy the benefits of gardening with peace of mind. Your health is the foundation of everything you do, and gardening is a wonderful way to support that foundation. It is about working with your body, respecting its current limitations, and slowly, gently building your resilience. Many of you have spent your lives taking care of others, your families, your careers, your communities. Gardening is a unique opportunity to take care of yourself, to slow down, and to reconnect with the natural world. It is a slow, steady process, and it yields rewards that go far beyond a harvest of vegetables. We are almost at the end of this journey, and I want to summarize the core pillars we have discussed, so you can start your own garden-based health program with confidence. Let's summarize what we have covered, as this is your roadmap for long-term health. First, gardening is a form of neurobiological therapy. It engages your brain, reduces cortisol, and triggers the release of serotonin through contact with soil-based microbes. Second, it is a functional movement practice that builds strength, proprioception, and cardiovascular health without the intensity of a gym workout. Third, the key to success is low intensity, high engagement. Use ergonomic tools, raised beds, and micro-sessions to prevent injury and maintain interest. Fourth, it is a way to nourish your body with nutrient-dense, homegrown food, which strengthens the gut-brain axis. Finally, it is a way to build purpose and community, both of which are critical for longevity in our later years. If you take only one thing away from this conversation, let it be this: your environment dictates your physiology. By choosing to spend time in a garden, you are choosing to prioritize your cognitive function, your physical vitality, and your mental peace. You are not just a hobbyist. You are a participant in a biological process that supports your health in a way that modern medicine often struggles to replicate. The next step is entirely up to you. Start small, stay consistent, and listen to your body. You have the tools, the knowledge, and the scientific backing to make this a central part of your routine. And as you see your garden grow, remember that you are also cultivating your own health, day by day, session by session. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. The process of gardening is a metaphor for the process of aging. It requires patience. It requires observation. It requires us to accept the cycles of growth, rest, and renewal. When you are in your garden, you are learning to be present. You are learning that growth does not happen overnight, but that consistent, daily care creates a foundation for strength and beauty. Many of the challenges you face in your 60s and beyond are complex, but the solutions are often surprisingly simple. Nature has a way of balancing us, of grounding us, and of reminding us of our place in the world. As you begin this journey, remember to be kind to yourself. If you have a bad day, or if the weather keeps you inside, it is not a failure. It is just another part of the cycle. I encourage you to look at your outdoor space today with fresh eyes. See the potential for growth, not just in the plants, but in your own cognitive and physical health. This is your time to invest in your own vitality. I hope this discussion has provided you with the clarity and motivation you need to take that first step. Whether it is a single pot on a windowsill or a dedicated bed in the yard, start today. Your brain, your heart, and your future self will thank you for the time you spend in the soil. Thank you for your focus and your commitment to your well-being. Take these insights, apply them with care, and enjoy the profound, natural benefits of gardening as you continue your journey toward a healthier, more vibrant life.